Who are the best assassins in DC Comics? So I decided to make this list because I remember a really cool dialogue from Teen Titans 1.5, in which here we have Deathstroke's half-brother. Don't think about it too much. But Bart Allen, Kid Flash, basically says that if you can't afford Deathstroke the Terminator, then you get Deadshot. And you can't afford Deadshot, then you get Merlin. And then if you can't afford Merlin, they call you. Which shows that there is at least some clear hierarchy in terms of assassins in the DC universe. So I figured, for fun, why not make that list? Why not rank the top assassins in the DC universe? Two quick disclaimers. First, the criteria in which I'm going to measure an assassin is going to be the following. First is going to be their success rate, how good they are at being an assassin, their statements in lore, basically what is said about them in the DC universe, and lastly, the hits themselves, how high profile their missions and hits and contracts are. Top of that, I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to rank them backwards. I'm going to start at who number one is and then work my way down. I think number one is very clear. The greatest assassin in all of DC is Deathstroke the Terminator. Deathstroke the Terminator for the longest time had a 100% success rate on his contracts. It wasn't until he met the new Teen Titans did that kind of become dubious. However, through coping, Deathstroke's actual coping, he kept it at 100%. And even now, it's still in the high 90s. Deathstroke is without a doubt the most successful of the assassins. Deathstroke consistently has the statement in the lore that backs that up too. He's constantly being called the greatest assassin, the greatest mercenary. He's the most high profile one and the most expensive because of how successful he is. And unlike some of the other assassins on this list, Deathstroke has the highest profile missions, hits, and contracts, whether it's to take down superpowered individuals or to capture superpowered individuals like superheroes, or even defend villains from superheroes. He's gone up against everyone in the Justice League. He's tangled with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and everyone in between. Deathstroke is without a doubt the greatest assassin in DC. Now, when it comes down to numbers 2, 3, and 4, you can kind of shuffle them around however you want, but I think a strong number 2 is Deadshot. Originally a Batman villain from the 40s, in the 70s he got kind of a facelift to what we know him as now, and until fighting against Batman and joining the Suicide Squad, Deadshot was a high demand, incredibly successful assassin. His success rate when it came down to contracts was just shy of Deathstroke's. It was definitely in the 90s. If you wanted a job done, Deadshot got it done, right? And on top of that, he has a statement in the lore from the DC universe that can comfortably put him at 2. He could be higher in theory, but the things that hold him back is, number one, his whole stick lately has been being on the Suicide Squad, which limits his access to doing contracts. So there's that. And number 2 is, while he has gone up against and dealt with some high profile contracts, they're nowhere near Deathstroke's level. But number 2 is a nice safe spot for him. Number 3 goes to David Kane. Now, I know this is a bit dubious, so there has to be an asterisk because David Kane had changed since the New 52, but he might have reverted back, but we don't know. Allow me to explain. David Kane was often called the number 2 assassin in the DC universe, second only to Deathstroke. And his limited showings really didn't give him the support of that. It was just heavily statements. However, he was so good of an assassin that he attracted the interest of Lady Shiva, who wanted to produce an heir with him, which was Cassandra Cain. He trained Cassandra Cain and made her into the weapon she is, and he actually trained Batman too in his younger years. However, his history got rebooted in New 52 and he became known as Orphan, and then last we saw him, he was supposedly dying. However, a lot of post-crisis is being reintroduced, and I have to go back and do my research on Cassandra Cain if her post-crisis origin or her New 52 origin is more prevalent, because then that would affect David Kane. We just haven't seen David since the New 52. But based off the statements and the showings, it's clear that you could put him at number 3. After that, we have Lady Shiva. Now, it feels kind of weird to put Lady Shiva at number 4. She is the top assassin in the League of Assassins, and she's also the leader of the League of Shadows, like an offshoot of the League of Assassins. But Lady Shiva has really been kind of self-centered lately. She really focuses on her death wish and her daughter, Cassandra Cain. She's not really going out there and actually, being an assassin. Like, in terms of effectiveness and some lore, there's no doubt that Lady Shiva is an incredibly effective assassin. But in terms of the contracts and hits she takes, they're never high-profile contracts, at least in comparison to, say, Deathstroke or Deadshot, or even some people lower on the list. And then on top of that, she hasn't really been doing any assassinating lately. It's all been the Lady Shiva show. But the fact that she has lore and statements and she's the leader of the League of Shadows, it's enough to put her at this list. I mean, she's clearly the number 1 assassin in the League of Assassins, so she has to be on there. This one might be a curveball, but after that is going to be Silencer. Silencer is a relatively new character who's had low amount of appearances, and she also really doesn't have many showings, so you're probably wondering why I'm putting her so high up on the list, and that's mainly due to her statements and lore. Silencer was introduced during a time when DC was making like characters adjacent to Marvel characters, like Damage was their Hulk, or the Terrifics were their Fantastics, or Brimstone was their Ghost Rider, or Sideways was their Spider-Man. Silencer was like their Punisher Elektra kind of adjacent character, and she is really cool. I really wish they would bring her back. The whole shtick of Silencer's book is she doesn't want to be an assassin anymore. She has a family, she has a husband, she has a son, and she's constantly trying to get out of that life. So her showings aren't really that high, and we don't know much about her like high-end contracts, but her statements, like, this is Talia al Ghul's pet project. Like, Talia considers her one of the best. Like, she wants Silencer back because of how good she was. Like, the statements are super strong with Silencer. She can also produce a zone of silence, which no sound can exist, which makes her a really effective assassin. I'm curious if that would like stop sound-based attacks from like Black Canary or Black Bolt. Probably not, but it's interesting to think of. But really cool character, definitely deserves their spot. The next few are going to be pretty quick. Merlin, the Dark Archer, has a decent success rate, has a pretty good standing in the League of Assassins, just doesn't really have many high-profile hits other than dealing with Green Arrow. Likewise, Cheshire has some really good statements, but she gets beat up all the time. She doesn't really succeed, at least not on paper, like what we see, but Cheshire does have some strong statements, and again, her rank in the League of Assassins allows her to be where she's at. I'm putting Bane there because Bane does like assassin and mercenary work as like a side gig. Like, if being an antagonist to Batman is his like 9-to-5 job, being an assassin is like him being an Uber driver on the weekend. Like, it's clearly not something that he puts a lot of effort into. It's more or less to help finance his mission against the Dark Knight, or, well, not so much anymore, but you get the point. Bronze Tiger should be higher on the list, but this fucker's just too nice of a guy. Like, he's just too good of a person. I don't care if you're in the League of Assassins. Like, even since his inception, he's just, like, too nice, too honorable. But he still should be up there. KG Beast, like, lore mythos-wise, is a menace. My problem is this fucker never succeeds. Like, every time he's gone up against Batman, he's always lost. Like, everyone's like, KG Beast pushes Batman to the limits. That's great. He still loses every time. Like, I don't think I've seen KG Beast be successful other than getting Dick Grayson in the head. Constantine Dracon has very little showings, but from what we've seen, it's pretty decent. But in recent years, he's kind of faltered, so he's lower on the list. Same to be said about Shadow. Shadow has a lot of statements that kind of make her into this great assassin, but we never really see too much of it. But it's still enough to put her on the top 10, top 15 list, so we'll have her on there. Finally, I'll round things out with Lady Vic, who is more of a henchman than anything, but Lady Vic does show up quite a bit. She does have some success rate for like minor hits, and the lore mythos put her into like the slightly higher echelons, but she's also gets beat the fuck up all the time. So yeah, that's my quick list on the top assassins of DC. Do you agree? Would you move people around? Comment, sitch, duet. I want to know.